Women Invest in Women, Season 1, is brought to you by the Kitty Rose Lifestyle, The Next Chapter, Black Women Matter, Pin AI, and NetHub. This episode brought to you by Gem Social, Becoming Clever, The Us Space, and Collab. Thank you to our guest speakers, Bree Flemings, LaGina Harris, Sly Rock. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Women Invest in Women. We are here in H-Town, Houston. Let's give it up. And thank you so much for our venue sponsor, The Us Space, who is allowing us to film here. And let's give it up for our audience that's here live. If you clap, 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 clap. Yes, yes. I love it. Yes, let's big it up. Oh man, I'm your host, Kwamara Thompson, and I've got some amazing panelists with us. To my left, we've got Sly, CEO and founder of the Clever Group, Sly the Clever. And then I'm going to swing over here, LaGina, who is the owner of the Us Space. Thank you so much, LaGina. And then we've got the amazing Bree, who I've known for a few years now, from Florida to Houston. Yes, my sister Bree. Yes, let's give it up for Bree, CEO and founder of Gem Social. Okay, so I just did a quick introduction, but I would love for you all to take 30 seconds to just introduce yourselves. I'll start over here with Bree, and then we'll swing on down.
Awesome. So hi, everyone. I'm the founder of Gem Social. I'm Bree Flemings. I am a past DJ who was laid off and got VC Capital to start Gem Social. So, woo-hoo!
Let's give it up. Yes.
I'm also a real estate investor and angel investor, and I'm happy to be here.
Yes. Thank you so much, Bree.
Hey y'all, my name is LaGina. I am a social impact entrepreneur. I'm the founder of the Us Space. I also have Lorraine Infinity, where I do speaking and all the things, media personality, have a media production team. Honored to be here, and it's really just believe in good people and amplification and the power of a true community.
I love that. Thank you, LaGina. Beautiful. And Sly?
So I'm Sly Rock, Sly the Clever everywhere. I am the founder and CEO of the Clever Group, also branding guru and creative tech is what I'm going by. Nowadays, I have the Clever Group, which is a creative branding agency that focuses on brand therapy. So we help entrepreneurs really understand their branding so that they're able to take it anywhere else in the market and pushing out their brand stories. I'm also an adjunct professor that teaches music marketing, AI and blockchain, and so I like to pride myself on bridging the gap between everyday people and Web3. So helping everyday people learn tech.
I want to sing like a little everyday people.
Right. Just shout out to Becoming Clever. That's the love.
Okay. So before we get into the nitty gritty of the conversation, I would love for each one of you to tell us a fact that some people may not know about you. So who wants to go first?
I am a triplet.
You're a triplet. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know. I was like, wait a minute. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Is it all girls?
I was the only girl.
Okay.
They did not make it through, but I'm still technically speaking. I'm a triplet,
okay.
yeah.
Got you.
Mm-hmm.
Got you.
Yep.
Fascinating.
I was gonna say I'm a triplet too, but I'm not. That's something good. You know what? I am the proud daughter of a military veteran. My mother served in the Air Force for 18 years and then jumped back into uniform for 22 years. Is a JROTC instructor, so Black female officer in the military in the 80s and 90s. So I owe my power to my ancestors and my mother.
Yes,
give it up for our
ancestors.
Yes.
I guess my background comes from entertainment, so I know a lot of people, and I know you come at me and tech. I make that leap and that transition. But
Okay, so now let's talk about being an entrepreneur, our entrepreneurial journey,
Mhm.
the amazing, the not so amazing,
Mhm.
a little bit of the ugly.
Yes.
Let's see. Let's go with LaGina.
The amazing of being an entrepreneur. I think when you first start off as an entrepreneur, the first amazing thing that happens is when, like, that day you look in the mirror and you're like, it's me. I'm doing this, right? A second amazing thing is when I started adding team members, contract people. I'm not ready for the whole part-time, full-time people. That's a lot. Go check with your accountant. But that was another amazing time because I remember when I was working for other people and I was like, I'm not being seen. And that was a big challenge for me. And so I was like, I'm going to be my own boss and I'm also going to be a boss to people, and not a boss, but like a player in their lives in a positive way. So that's always a cool thing. The not so good thing is also looking in the mirror and being like, it's me, right? Like there are some times where you want to take off and you know you're going to get to take off and the universe says no. And there are times where, you're up late and you don't understand what you're doing, but you understand what you're doing. So it's like this big old juxtaposition being an entrepreneur. But I mean, I would say 80% of the time it's 100% joy. And then 20% of the time is probably the heaviest, and you need community. Yeah.
wow. Yeah.
Everybody agrees. What's happening next?
She has great points. Like everything you said is just like you were speaking.
We all were. I felt like we were all having a cry moment in our shower. I was like,
maybe truth be told,
That 20%.
but 20% is heavy.
Yeah, I would say, like you said, I mean, the highs are high. When you're an entrepreneur, the lows are low too.
Yeah.
I would say, even in my journey, like I've had some nice milestones, but burning out, trying not to burn out, burning out and learning lessons.
Yeah. If you don't mind if I hop in there, because a little bit, you said you wanted to touch a little bit about the mental health aspect and the rebranding that you're currently going through as a result of that. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
I think when it comes to your point, you mentioned community, and I think that was the thing that brought me through and brought me on the other side. And now I'm being open to creating in front of people, and so that's where Becoming Clever came. Personal branding and the personal blog that I started to launch with the newsletter. Just letting other entrepreneurs know that you're not alone. And that's why I love what you said, because more people need to hear that. More people need to hear that they're not alone. That it starts or that people will be there to help you along that journey, and you don't do everything by yourself. And I think as entrepreneurs, we feel that pressure, even though it may be 20% pressure, but we're putting more pressure on ourselves to be that greatness and everything else, and what we see everybody else doing, when we really just need to focus on our goals. And so that's something that I've learned, and I'm learning out loud, and I'm building out loud. I want people to be on that journey with me. You know what I'm saying?
We're on this journey with you.
Thank you. I appreciate
it. Yes.
Yeah. I would say that community and entrepreneurship has meant a lot more to me in entrepreneurship than it did in the corporate world. Now, it weighs heavier for me. When I moved to Houston, I moved here because of community. Not that, 305 still.
305 still holding it down.
But as a Black woman, I felt I felt hugged on when I moved here to Houston, and I needed that hug. I didn't need anything else. I just needed that, girl, I see you, so it meant a lot to me down here than it did in Miami, because I wasn't weighing my success as much as I would weigh like the failures. I was weighing the failures way too high than the success. Like I could get a new paying customer, I could get an investor. Like I just won a grant last week, but I didn't feel anything until my community was like, girl, you just won, you just did this. But it just felt like another day, because if I'm not where I want to be, I was way too in my head. So community has helped me a lot in entrepreneurship, because I recognize, okay, this is my mental health taking over, and I need to recalibrate. I need to rewind, So community has helped buy me a spa day pass when I didn't, have the money to do a community. It, told me like, girl, I got you. Community prayed over me and my family.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So the community and entrepreneurship is just the best thing to me. And I just can't even look at it any other way. But the failures, I've definitely learned a lot from the failures. But my favorite thing about like being an entrepreneur is like me actually building something that people love to use. It means so much to me when someone's like, oh my God, girl, I just found this influencer for my event and in a snap, or I just got this DJ book that I didn't even think I could get in touch with. Like those success stories mean so much to me because I'm like, wow, this started on a bus. I started this on a bus. So
wow.
it's just so, interesting to me.
To see how you just birthed such creativity. Did you want to add?
I do, because I think one of the things that you said that resonates with me is in the challenging times. Sometimes, like, have you ever walked by somebody and you're like, oh, they look nice? Like, why don't we say those things out loud more?
Yeah,
right? Yeah. And I think that's one of the things I feel like I know a lot about your business. I don't know so much about yours, Sly, but there's this aspect that I feel like we're all building and have communities. And it's important for not only us to pour into the community, but the community be like, hey, you're doing it. Like, thank you. And I get that a lot at the us space. Like some days I'll be like, and then somebody will text me and be like, thank you. And I'm like, oh my God, the whole cancer in me comes out. But I think that the right, okay, you get it, the Pisces. Yeah, but like the whole sharing of the appreciation, right? It's the good ego that can allow you to appreciate somebody and share it, and the bad ego's like, they don't need to hear that. So.
What if your brand could travel the world, be seen by millions, and align with a movement that changes lives? Introducing the Women Investing in Women Global Tour, directed by visionary media leader Kitty Rose and moderated by the empowering Kwamara Thompson. Our show reaches 4.7 million homes through broadcast television and is streamed on all major podcast platforms. That means your product, your service, your message, right in front of an audience of investors, buyers, and culture shapers. Your brand goes global with us. This is more than media. It's a movement. This is Women Investing in Women.
And welcome back. We are now going to be talking about how we have given to the community. We talked a lot about how important community was to us in our entrepreneurial journey. So then how do we give back and give thanks to our own community? Who would like to answer that first? Okay, great.
It's interesting because me and LaGina, we were talking about this right before we were recording, but we were talking about intern and an internship program. And I think that that's a way that I try to give back, especially when it comes to me being a professor and my students, and making sure, to what we were talking about, making sure students have the true experience instead of just going in with the book smarts and things like that, but that they're able to really walk away from internships with skills that they can use into the next position. And I pride myself in that. And then even when I'm talking to the interns in the program, I try to check in with them regularly to make sure they're hitting milestones that they want to hit. Because I think it's definitely important, especially in this day of age of tech and everything else, that people really understand the direction. And I mentioned brand therapy. It kind of comes along with the internships and me also checking in with them to make sure that their personal branding is where they need it to be. And so that's kind of like my give back, because a lot of the interns that intern for me want to be entrepreneurs as well. So giving them the tools and resources and whatever they need to do. And sometimes I'll even help them with their projects and the things that they're doing, so that they get rewarded too. And that's my way of giving back, and that's been my way of giving back.
Awesome. So definitely with interns, for sure. I'm in like my third phase of having interns now, and this summer is paid internships. I was able to find a sponsor to pay for them.
That's great.
So these college students are getting paid like $20 an hour full time for the whole summer, and I think that's awesome because I didn't get paid. I did not get paid in college. So that means a lot to them. Also, allowing them to really get hands-on, like not just giving them petty tasks like file this or organize that in my folder, like actually like you're making these decks with me, babes. Like,
Yeah.
you're going to watch me pitch. You're going to learn how to do this. You're going to give me feedback. They're in our product meetings. They're talking to the developers to understand how to use the product, because you should know how to even talk about the product. So that's one way. Another thing is that I have events for creatives and brands to come out and just enjoy themselves. If we can find a sponsor, we typically have like, free drinks and stuff so they can enjoy themselves. But even then we'll do a happy hour as well, just so they can just woosah, and we have panels at each one of those. So we just recently had Creators Night Out around the corner from here, and that was really fun as well. And now I'm about to go on a workshop tour. So I'm going to teach brands how to leverage influencer marketing to decrease their ad spend, because we know Google ads and Facebook ads are so expensive, and yes, like so expensive. So I'm going to be teaching workshops to brands on how to leverage influencer marketing, and then I'll give them free access to our tool so they can actually learn how to do that on our platform. And then we can kind of check back in with them and see if they're going to be good case studies and hook them up with a good price for their subscription. So I'm really excited about that, because before I even went public with it, Posh saw what I was doing, and they called me, and they're going to let me launch my first one at their office in Soho.
Wow. Nice. That's so dope. Go ahead, Bree. Yes.
So that is and they're paying for everything.
I love it. Yes, something. Yes.
I'm like, I love that.
So talk to us about the workshop tour. What other cities are you going to?
So Miami at the Office Logic.
Okay.
So it'll be Miami, New York City, Houston. I would love to have some here. Wink, wink.
Oh my gosh. Y'all think the us sponsor.
Atlanta as well, Philly, hometown.
Yes.
And LA. Great. So I would like to, do that as well. And then also just giving away tickets to Culture Cons coming up, Black is Tech conferences, AfroTech. Right. We're really being able to start connecting with their teams to give back as well to creatives that can't afford it or, can't make it. Try to figure out how to sponsor their flights. Get in touch with Delta, American Airlines. Baby Spirit, I don't care. You're going to get on that flight to make it to this conference. Right. And I'm really giving back in ways that I wish I was given to as a kid as well. Yeah. So that's how I've been giving back. And then outside of that, I'm trying to donate and volunteer at cancer centers. So because my dad, passed from cancer. Yeah. So just finding extra time to not just give back in, with my brand, but as a personal brand, I need a volunteer as well. So I try to I went to coffee shops and even giving back by giving them donated time to be a barista. I don't know what I'm doing. I cannot do an espresso shot ever again. But I did it for Christmas.
That is hilarious. I love it. Yeah.
And they were laughing because they're like, aren't you this? I'm like, I am no better. I am not better than a barista. I'm not better than anybody. Yeah, and that was the whole point of giving back. Let that person take time off to be with their family, and I get to be the barista for the day. And I thought it was fun. Yes, and I want to do it again.
That's I love that. Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
No one ordered,
and that's a really good point. I actually was a bartender for a day for no one. The bartender didn't show up, so I just was like, I'll do it. And people were like, yes, I feel social. And people were like, what are you doing behind the bar? I'm like,
I was like, girl, what you doing? I want this cocktail now. You made a strong drink too.
Well, I was a bartender for 13 years and still carry my TABC. So if we're doing it, we can tell. I'll tell you all the things I do for the community, but that's just me is community. And I think one of the coolest things I remember growing up is the random act of a stranger paying it forward by paying for the person behind them. So I challenge everybody to do that, especially in these times, because this world is not pretty. UGLY, we ain't got no alibi. This is ugly. And I was down in the tunnels because the US space is in downtown Houston, and we're connected to this. It's mystical, but there's 7 miles of tunnels under us. And so when you don't see people up in the streets, we're in the tunnels, it's hot. I'll take you down there.
Yes, please do, because I was like, downtown's a little quiet. What's going on?
And I was ordering breakfast, and I was with a friend, and we're all smiling, and these two men were behind us, and it wasn't any type. They were both married, not flirting with us. It was just good vibes, and they were like, we got their breakfast. You know what I mean? And I was like, ooh. So I did it, and that's happened to me before. So that's just my challenge to community, period. Just even if it's $1, not everybody has it. So don't try to break your bank doing it. But it's something simple that can be done that lifts somebody's spirits. as far as me as a human, obviously I am a Black female in this lifetime, millennial, and what you don't see a lot of in these accelerator, pitch, program, all these things are a lot of women, a lot of Black women, and a lot of millennials that are in the role of judging, in the role of mentoring, advising, coaching, if you will. And so I make sure that I'm present and that I give probably a little too much time, but it's important. So like at Rice University, U of H, the Tech Bridge program, Founders Institute, G Beta, like I'm showing up, and it's not for me, but it's for the founder on the other side that, like, literally when you sit in front of them, they're just tired of hearing the inaccuracy of the view of their business because they had to explain something that doesn't need to be explained to get business done and make money. And I'm probably like a forever educator because, like, I'm better at telling people how to make theirs thrive than mine. But at the same time, I'm mindful of the fact that we're sitting in 11,000 square feet in downtown Houston.
Let's give it up.
You know, it's a big deal, but at the same time, easy as a founder to breeze over that and go back to it. So my presence in community is showing up in those spaces to make sure that, like, we're represented not on the getting judged side all the time, but judging, because I want us to judge each other with the love and the hug versus well, why do you need a hair app? Well, look at all of our hair. We need an app with products that aren't chemically charged. So that kind of stuff. And then obviously with the US space, we have a fellowship program for people that cannot afford it. Members can pause their memberships at any time. This is a buy one get all free type membership. Like, there's a lot that comes with it. Work accountability days, you've been to them. And we try to support and sponsor, whether it's discounts for groups or it's doing something as simple as this and inviting people in for visibility purposes. So everything that I'm living and breathing, I don't even try. It's just me in community. And then I'm the co-founder of a mental health nonprofit for people of color. And so when you talk
about what's the name?
Melanin Minds, MELANINMINDS.org. But the idea is that everything that we do as people of color is a mental health journey. Even walking out the door and deciding to be beautiful like this, right? Like, that's a journey because it takes a boldness every time we walk onto the street.
That's right. Yeah, that's so true. Thank you to our sponsors.
What if your brand could travel the world, be seen by millions, and align with a movement that changes lives? Introducing the Women Investing in Women Global Tour, directed by visionary media leader Kitty Rose and moderated by the empowering Kwamara Thompson. Our show reaches 4.7 million homes through broadcast television and is streamed on all major podcast platforms. That means your product, your service, your message, right in front of an audience of investors, buyers, and culture shapers. Your brand goes global with us. This is more than media. It's a movement. This is Women Investing in Women.
Welcome back. So we've been talking about how we pay it forward, how important community is to our entrepreneurial journey. Now the title of the show is Women Invest in Women. So I want to talk about the importance of investing, the importance of owning over leasing and or renting. And also, when you are an owner, how that helps your entrepreneurial journey. What kinds of things can you do that you feel more empowered to do because you actually own things versus leasing or renting those things? And I'm going to go talk to Bree first because I know that she does real estate investing. She mentioned it even in her intro that, you know, she received venture capital funding, but then also has paid it forward as an angel investor and as a real estate investor. And that's also something that most people know I also do. So we've connected on many, many levels on that. So I want to talk a little bit more about that. And then if you ladies also have anything else to please bring into the conversation, please feel free.
Yeah. So do I. You and me both. Well, first I'll start why to me it was important to own something, because in my family, coming from Philly especially, or anywhere in the Northeast, a lot of people just rent.
Yeah.
Like, And we've always had to move or do this or do that because rent went up here, or, you know, this happened here, or we just never got to really like live the way we wanted to live because it felt like I was under someone else's thumb or rule. And I hated it. I've moved 27 times.
Wow.
I'm 29 years old.
Wow.
I'm 29. So for me, like, I honestly was like, I have to own something so I could be able to say, like, this is mine.
Yeah.
Like, and I'll do what I want with it. Like, absolutely. So I did. My first purchase was in Florida, in Tamarack, for my actual primary resident home. And then a year later, my mom wanted to move to Houston. So I'm like, wow, I just fixed and flipped. Come on, Anna, like, come on, you know, but I was happy to still have owned that because it was a great process. I turned nothing into like a home, you know, so beautiful, like a lovely lake house, townhouse in Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, nice.
I ended up renting it out to some attorney out there and moved down here with her to support her. Ended up loving it so much that I ended up buying a duplex down here, like maybe like 10, 15 minutes away from here. So bought that, realized I am not a Sunnyside girl. I need to be in the suburbs. So I ended up renting them both out.
Okay.
One of them was an Airbnb and literally was making $3,500 a month one side. Right, and then the other side, I rented it out for $2,000. So that became profitable. So that was awesome. And then I got kind of like equity happy that I bought another place because I found like this like shacked up place in Cleveland and was like, oh, I got this. Like, all right, cool. Girl. I got real humbled. But it worked out now. Both, you know, I have tenants in there as well. So, and then when I ended up getting laid off last year, right before I got VC funding, I sold the house in Florida and paid myself a salary for the year to actually build up Gem Social, which is something I own 80% equity of. Yeah. So to me, like, that's why ownership matters, because you never know what could happen. I didn't know I was going to get laid off last year. I also didn't know I was going to get VC funding, but I at least knew I'm about to sell this house in Florida. Yeah. I'm gonna get some cash. And came up, came up money. And I didn't even spend that whole, $80,000 in profit on my salary, because if anyone knows how Jamaicans are, we are frugal. I will nickel and dime everything, so I really didn't have to like go through that struggle, and I still was with my mother. But anyways, I say this to say that like ownership helped me get through a hard time. Yeah. And if I didn't have that, I don't really know what I would have done. I mean, obviously maybe just going back and finding a job, because like but like also I didn't want to do that. Right. I wanted to take time to actually build my app. I wanted to actually take time and find the right property managers intentionally. When you're just all over the place, you don't take the time to actually sit and make a really good intentional decision, you're going to waste a lot more money making bad ones. Yeah. So I really took that time to myself to get all my things in a fair, getting the right people, aligned for Gem, getting the right people aligned for my real estate, getting the right people aligned for anything else I wanted to invest in. Khalil's here. He knows I want to invest in his platform, for example. Look at what it brought, so like, I know that he's solving a problem. So finding other founders as well that I want to invest in, because I see like where they're, moving forward with, to me, is also important for me to have ownership on their cap table too. Absolutely. So I got a glimpse of what ownership did for me in a tough time. And I'm going to always be like thrilled by that. And now I want to own everything. Yes. And will. Let's put that in writing. Yes.
I think for me, when you think about ownership, the first thing that my dad always said was like, you have God, and then you have family, and you have education. And so ownership over my education is always important. I mean, look at Black women, they have the most degrees, degreed humans, probably in the world, who knows? But I know in the United States, right? And then we could go down a rabbit hole of now how higher education is being devalued, and why is it now being devalued now that we have what's supposed to be obtainable, all of those kind of things. As far as business goes, I'm a strategic, logistical, and ops person. Like, I can see out into the future. I understand what's going on. I'm one of those people that really like return on investment. You invest in a Black woman, and these are numbers. These aren't like a feeling that, $1, you're going to get $1 million versus investing $1 million and losing, right? And so the US space has been self-funded. We lease this space, but I am a military brat, so I'm not held to anything. I will have all y'all come over here and move us if you need to move, and you will find me a building. You know what I mean? Like, because I believe in that kind of stuff, because this is the manifest destiny of what's going on with this, right? And then, you know, I own my brand and I own my non-for-profit, but the non-for-profit is for the community. And so I love the fact that you said the part about owning property. Our family, we had a conversation about that. So whether one person owns it and we make sure that it's tied generationally, or we understand how this creates generational wealth for our family. But what's really interesting is that my niece and my nephew, they have no idea. Like, my niece was 2 years old, walked up in here and was like, this is mine. You know, like, their sense of entitlement is, it's so, I'm so happy for it, because my sense of entitlement is better than my parents and my grandparents. And I often tell people, like, we probably hold more entrepreneurs. We have like 4 generations of entrepreneurs going back. So that's just what we do. Like, somebody asked me earlier today, have you ever worked in corporate? And I was like, no, I haven't. Nonprofits, the bar industry, doing this for myself. And so for me, like, it's almost on the other end, but very clear avenue. Like, it's mine because it's mine. And the movability of the us space and our members is mobile if we need to be. But I think that's also inherently cultural as well. So, yeah, I mean, I guess that's my sense on ownership, is I just make sure I keep ownership of self and keep grounded in that. And the rest, I'm just going to go for broke because we're on borrowed time anyway.
Yes,
Yes, indeed. And just to piggyback on your conversation, LaGina and Bree, about owning commercial property, since you guys have successful businesses, it's actually much easier to buy commercial property nowadays than to buy individual real estate. So
ownership, to me, especially coming from a creative standpoint, so I think a lot about IP when it comes to ownership. And that's what brought me into Web3, honestly, was the craze, the NFT craze. That was a couple of years ago, even though I know we're afraid of that word now. But, I mean, granted, it's here to stay. It'll be just in different language and terms. But I think coming from an entertainment, music background, when it comes to royalties and things like that, that's important to me. And then as a creative in general, just, making sure that you own your brand, those rights to your logo, your marks, just your company in general. So I think with blockchain, and I actually think that music and entertainment and also real estate will benefit the most from like smart contracts and NFTs to me. But I think that, we need those type of aspects in that new tech to kind of facilitate people being confident, because I think with ownership, it brings confidence. And I think creatives need to be more confident in their work, and I think that blockchain can help that. Which is a different story, but I do think ownership brings in, that aspect.
I'm glad that you brought that up, Sly, because since we do know each other in the tech space, I'm also a proponent and a fan of blockchain, tokenization, digital currency, fractionalization. Because it actually gives you an easier barrier to entry to some of these ownership points. So if you're thinking about real estate, for example, and you're like, I don't have XYZ amount of money to put down on a down payment, but if I can get involved in an opportunity where something is already tokenized and I can own a piece of the piece, and a piece of something is better than a piece of nothing, right? So then you can start getting into that, and then it's transparent. And so oftentimes when I'm on panels, people are always asking me, what's the thing that excites you the most about technology? The thing that excites me the most about technology is the idea that ownership has become much more accessible through technology. So that's really exciting to me. So I'm glad that you brought that up. So does anyone, because you're also in tech, Bree, did you want to just think a little bit more, say anything more about ownership as it relates to technology and the advantages of that?
For me, my biggest thing, like what I own is basically now we're rebranding it as a tool. And I see so many tools being used, like HoneyBook, for example, for business owners, QuickBooks, like all these different tools. And I just want to build that ad tech tool to help owners like us actually make profitable revenue, not always like negative ROI. So if I can actually execute that, then I'm an owner of $1 billion company. And that to me is important. Now, I don't know anything about smart contracts. Like I have never, I have tried in the past to try to get it. And, you know, my ADHD and my dizziness and delusion together. I know. I don't. So I would love to learn those things. But like for me, like growing up, like when I got my hands on like games and like technology and started seeing apps and an iPhone, and I just wanted to be one of those apps on the iPhone. Like that was since I was 15 years old. I had an Objective-C programming book, and that's when I started programming. So like for me now, 14 years later, actually owning stuff, I've sold an app before. You know, I sold my first app when I was 20.
I love that.
You know, so it's like, and people think Gem is my first app. This is my fourth app. You know, so it's just nice to actually be, you know, have been a kid and just had dreams. And now I own that, you know, and I live in it and I walk in it every day. And even though I get overwhelmed sometimes or I need to take a break and stuff, I'm overwhelmed by my own blessings. Like I prayed for these things.
That's right.
You know, I prayed for these things.
Put that overwhelmed by my own blessings.
Yeah. Like I own that. I own that prayer. I own those. That's what blood, sweat, and tears. Like I own the sacrifices that come with it. I own the people I've lost on the way, and I own the people I gain on the way. And I'm always take care of those people because I own this experience. This is my experience. Yeah. This is not rented experience. This is not me, like how I feel with a job or how I feel at this center or whatever it may be. This is me. This is my story, and I own that story. And I don't play about that story.
Yes. I love that's another option of ownership. That just touched upon a little bit about what you were saying.
Yeah, and he said that
it's her fourth, right? Like I think that when people interject in your story, when you start being visible, they're like, how'd you get that? And it's like, you know, so I'm excited because this is my first. I'm waiting, like not in a failure way, but like, you know, I think that a lot of times we're taught is women or as Black people, hell, whatever it is, right? We're taught this whole thing about, you know, we can't afford to fail. Why not? You know what I mean? Like if we're talking about community, we can afford to fail at this point because trust me, not the original, but one of the men that started co-working spaces, he done failed, he done smoked out a plane, he done failed again, and people are writing him checks. And I think that there's something to be said about us not only being conscious consumers, and I say us, women, people of color, millennials, because we have the buying power right now, all of that, conscious consumers, but also like putting your money behind it, and putting your dollars and your time behind the people that you're saying that you support. And so when you say that you're on your fourth app, I love that because that's the interjection of the story that people may not see. Right. And the failures that were actually your foundation, because a failure is a foundation.
Because I did fail with many of them.
Right. And now you laugh about it when before you were probably like crying about it, like this is up, right?
Yeah, every single time I lost the office, I'm like,
dang it, right? And so it worked. Like, and when this, and you talk about intellectual property, right, and all these things, and I'm laughing because I'm like, I'm a young business owner that is in a very cool position to be able to sit on platforms like this or at the Rice and the U of H, and people are like, well, who are you? Well, who are you? Right. Like, what is I have 3 degrees, and yes, I'm going for broken, and this one may fail. But I'm going to do something. Like all I've got is time and the permission of my family to be an entrepreneur. And it's not saying that I'm hoping this fails, but like sometimes going fearfully forward is so pertinent. And also calling out and calling upon your community to show up in realistic ways. Like it's very important. It doesn't have to be ugly. It can always be about the business, but you can always do that with this mindful collective ability to care.
That's awesome. I'm glad that we had such a powerful discussion around the importance of ownership and how that allows us to make decisions, make moves, and have a certain level of freedom, right? So when we get back, we will be talking about how to protect the things that we own.
What if your brand could travel the world, be seen by millions, and align with a movement that changes lives? Introducing the Women Investing in Women Global Tour, directed by visionary media leader Kitty Rose and moderated by the empowering Kwamara Thompson. Our show reaches 4.7 million homes through broadcast television and is streamed on all major podcast platforms. That means your product, your service, your message right in front of an audience of investors, buyers, and culture shapers. Your brand goes global with us. This is more than media. It's a movement. This is women investing in women.
Alrighty, and we are back. Thank you again for joining us at Women Investing in Women. We just talked about ownership, and now I think one of the things that we don't often talk about when we're talking about ownership is protecting what we own. So our trademarks, our intellectual properties, our insurance. Do we have insurance that covers us, especially as business owners, etc.? So since you brought up intellectual property first, we're going to start with you, Sly. Speak on it.
I think it's important. I think it's important for people to, we need to have these conversations more, because I don't think people always know or have the resources to understand what it means to protect your intellectual property. And so we need to continue to have conversations like this where we're talking about it. I think when it comes to that, just being open and transparent about, everything that's going on with that, and in regards to keeping your things to yourself. I try to make sure that I give resources, and again, that's why I try to educate so much about blockchain and everything else. And that was my biggest idea with when I took NFTs and Tequila, the event on tour, was to teach people about blockchain so they can understand even the IP and why that matters so much. But I think we need to continue to have more conversations about it, especially when it comes to these bigger entities and when it comes to AI. And I don't know how much we're going to talk about that, but that is such a big conversation when it comes to IP and AI. And I also, too, just remember hearing a conversation that music-wise, there's a lot of chatter about AI and music when it comes to productions, producers, artist-wise. But I think we need to protect ourselves from some of the bigger entities, to say the least. And that's why it's important to start learning and understanding how you can protect your creativity properly. Also, too, because I don't think we also have correct training and understanding on how we do those things. But
and I think sometimes we don't understand because we don't assign the value. Other people see the value, but we just do it to we do it, and then we keep moving, and you're like, wait a minute, time, you just did something amazing that's worth something. Let's actually take the time to protect it. You're right, and we have to set that value and set that worth. And as you were talking, it reminded me. I don't know if you guys follow what's going on in AI, but right now, Disney and Marvel are have lawsuits against Midjourney. This is going to be major because if you guys know Midjourney, you can basically put in anything in your AI prompt, and what's happening is the characters that are coming out look like the Disney and Marvel characters. And so depending on how this case goes, we will see how AI ends up going. But because Disney and Marvel have everything trademarked, they can bring this lawsuit, and this lawsuit is a major one that's going to change the ways that we're thinking about AI. We have to be like a Disney in that sense. We have to protect our stuff the way that the big corporations protect their stuff. Yeah. So I just wanted to piggyback off of that. I hear you saying, yeah, Bree. So do you want to add?
Oh, my Miami stories. I have learned a lot about protecting your ownership because I used to think I owned things that I never even did. I was a past DJ in Miami. I was a producer in Miami. I have written many hits that's still on the radios.
Oh, wow.
And that haven't got splits from them because I didn't know anything about the formal split sheet process and all these different things. So I was signed to a record label before, and I thought that they were the ones handling that, and they did not. Wow. So right then and there, even though it wasn't in the tech part, I learned on the music side right then and there that you need to have your paperwork together, that you need to, before you even move forward with the project. And that's anything. To this day, I will not move forward with anything joining advisory, whatever it may be, unless the paperwork is done, because I learned at a young age that if you just start working and that they just oh yeah, we'll take care of that next week, and oh yeah, don't worry about it, he's handling it, just chitter chatter. So I left the label because wasn't even making money.
I was like,
I guess I was
taking advantage, but
taking advantage.
Taking advantage.
So when it got to things that I actually owned, one thing I really did invest in was a lawyer. I really, and sitting down with said lawyer and understanding, what does this mean? What does a trademark mean? What does a C Corp mean?
Yep.
How can I make sure that I have this amount of ownership, like on my cap table? Like all those things matter to me, because I would hate for Gem to blow up and get bought out and I still don't have ownership over that. Like,
yes.
And that happened to my mentor. That really happened to my mentor. His company was literally taken from him. Mm-hmm. He worked so hard. He put hundreds of thousands of dollars into his platform, and it was just taken from him. And I was like, oh my God, like this, they just took my songs. Y'all took my app. I'm going to just pass. Like I couldn't be there. So just learning those things as well. And even on the real estate side, like just making sure all that paperwork's together. That's like right. Every single thing, making sure my name is on it and my family's name if I was to pass. So, having my life insurance policy set up. I have multiple life insurance policies.
Me too. Like, hold on, we got to just clap that up, because so do I.
I am a proud life insurance policy holder.
Yes.
Don't care. I don't have kids. Don't care. You don't need them. Like, ownership over those things. And even down to my stocks. Yep. Down to my stocks. I was an early person who invested in Tesla before the splits. So making sure I had ownership over that. Like, so all those things matter to me. And I started investing when I was 18 years old. So just making sure that like my name, my identity, like my verification, everything is attached to me, that ain't no games being played around with. So that it is important, because that if you're not protecting yourself, like you don't even really know if you own the thing that you say you own.
I was just gonna say, a lot of artists learn that lesson.
I was like,
I've seen it happen so many times, and that's something that we talk about
all the time
in class, all the time. I'm like, make sure you understand that process. Even though I don't teach publishing directly, but I learned when I went to Atlanta. Of course, you would learn that type of stuff in Atlanta, the bigger music city. Yeah. But I definitely.
Yeah, that's why I was bored.
I saw artists. I saw artist friends lose. Yep. You know what I'm saying? With that, and so it's definitely a hard lesson. But that's exactly why I'm trying to make sure people understand.
Yeah. And then just to bring us back to entrepreneurship, we have seen, and we continue to see, especially people who look like us in this room, losing their businesses when their businesses hit a certain level. And we can talk about a few folks that we know that have been in the news in the last several years, and you're probably thinking, how in the world did you lose their business? Because they didn't dot their I's, cross their T's, didn't know exactly what they were doing. They were excited about all the people who were coming in, giving them money, being VCs, and not realizing they're giving away so much equity, to the point where they no longer have say so over what the company is, and then they can get ousted out of their own company. So you just have to be careful when you're thinking about this. And you're right, we hardly ever talk about that. So I want to make sure. And you might be thinking, listen, I just got an idea on a piece of paper. So what? Set it up like it's going to be the next $1 billion company.
Because it will be.
Okay, because it will be. Yes. It will be.
Because if I walk in the office and my badge don't work in my building,
I think for me, one of the things I always tell entrepreneurs from the rip is, like, if you're working with people that aren't excited about signing contracts, then reconsider who you're working with.
Absolutely.
I love an MOU. Do an MOU, because really that is not even, it's not a strong contract. Yeah. But what it does is it makes sure people are on the same page, and foundationally that's where you want to start, is people that have like the same ideology or foundation or even values you do. And so I think that is the baseline. I'm still learning. There's a lot to learn. And I think that people get really overwhelmed really quick. I mean, even listening to this, some people are like, I quit, right? But it's called entrepreneurial youth for a reason. Humbling yourself, having good conversations, because somebody may know a crap ton of information on one side and know nothing on another. Somebody may be really good at doing blockchain and everything else, but have no personality for a relationship. Another thing is not everybody has an ROI, quick scaling business. And what I have seen a lot in these accelerators and these programs that you've probably seen too, is that everybody is really focused on fast tech. And there is hard tech, there's slow tech, there's tech enabled, there's people that don't even need tech for their business outside of maybe an invoice, right? And so understanding what type of business you have, whether it's a mom and pop that you want to sustain for generational stuff, whether it's you're an entrepreneur and you're starting and moving and grooving, if it's high sell and scale and move to the next thing. Like there's so many different ways. And a lot of people try to sell this playbook on what entrepreneurship is and what being a founder is and what being a CEO is. And there's no playbook. And because we are given so many rules as children, as women, as adults, as Black people, as people of color, we think that there's a rule book. There's foundational things you need. One is understanding yourself. Absolutely. That's like one of the biggest things. But when I think about it, I think about those things because I'm like, intellectual property, it's a lot, right? But like it's one bite at a time. And also being willing to understand that like your ideas are not original. Like as soon as it's given to you, it was given to a lot of other people. And who's going to be the one that takes the ideation to implement to execution, the best and the fastest with the best community. That's what it is.
I'm glad that you brought up the mom and pop shops and, you know, things of that nature. As people know, I'm an angel investor and they're always, what kind of tech are you into? And I'm like, it can be tech, but it doesn't have to be. I'm a huge fan of investing in people's hair salons, hair shops, barber shops, the laundromat, co-working spaces. Well, actually, I have a co-working space myself in Hollywood, Florida. Yes. So, but yeah, so I say that to say that not everything has to be sexy. Some things are just like, go get some land and make it into a parking lot. I'm serious. And you know, like in certain cities, that's money that's coming through, right? So not everything has to be sexy. Also, it doesn't even have to be your original idea. See if there's a business out there that you can go buy. That's already successful. There is now an influx of people who are looking for what's their next thing they're going to do. They want to retire. Their children may not want, if they have children, may not even want to work in that business. Is that a business that you yourself might want to go ahead and buy in or get a group of people and you guys go and have fun and you see their financial books and you know if it's a business that's been around 10, 15 years, there's not much you got to do. It's already has a reputation in the neighborhood. So not everything has to be original. Not everything has to be this sexy thing that you're doing. It can literally just be a way that you're sustaining your life and we're owning our community.
What if your brand could travel the world, be seen by millions, and align with a movement that changes lives? Introducing the Women Investing in Women Global Tour, directed by visionary media leader Kitty Rose and moderated by the empowering Kwamara Thompson. Our show reaches 4.7 million homes through broadcast television and is streamed on all major podcast platforms. That means your product, your service, your message, right in front of an audience of investors, buyers, and culture shapers. Your brand goes global with us. This is more than media. It's a movement. This is Women Investing in Women.
Okay, and welcome back to Women Invest in Women. So we've been talking all things community, ownership, protecting the property. And I think we've been giving some good advice and some good tips. But if someone wanted to start a business or is an entrepreneur, you could give them one thing that they could do either today or tomorrow. What would it be?
Research and understand the business. Like, not just because you see somebody doing it does not mean that it's easy. Even if they have a smile on their face and they're moving. And I say that from the physical space aspect. This is hard. It's really hard, but one of the best pieces of advice I got from like one of my mentors was like, why don't you go ask them over there and then go work out of there? And I'm like, but that's stealing, right? And he's like, no, it isn't. Go learn. And I learned a lot because I always tell people in physical space, people forget trash has to be taken out and the lights have to be turned on. And people, you know, so I research and really understanding what your customer is saying that they want and need versus what they're willing to invest in it.
Branding person. So to me, branding is foundational. And I like what you said earlier about even understanding yourself, because that's why I kind of married brand therapy together, is because I understood as a designer too, as a creative, when the person understood themselves and what they actually wanted to do, but really understanding that, it helped me create better, and I was able to get things off of like the first try when it came to a logo, because I kind of went through these therapeutic sessions with the client, trying to understand them and help them understand themselves. And they would always be like, "You sound like a therapist. This sounds like therapy." But the idea, and these are just my 3 principles of branding, is learning the past, embracing the present, and creating the future. Because you have to understand where you came from and why you started this. And sometimes entrepreneurs need to remind themselves of that.
Remember, you gotta remember.
Right. And so that helps. And then understanding and being honest about where you are in the present with the business, so we can create that future.
If you don't mind me asking, what's one question, if someone is not sure about who they are, what's one question that you would ask them to sort of think
The
about?
first question I ask is, why did you start this in the first place? What made you get into the business that you're getting into? And it's a simple question, but people really forget that, and myself included. I have to remind myself, I think we were talking about staying present and in the moment and things like that, when you have those big accolades and it just kind of goes over your head because you're not present.
Yeah.
But remembering why you started, and that brings you back to the mission and helps you realign to move forward. A lot of times, it helps you create.
I would say before you get that LLC, you research, because I hold all of my Black friends' hands when I say this. You do not always need an LLC. I had got an LLC, and my mentor, Brian Rakeem, was like, "Why did you get an LLC?" I was like, "I thought that's what I had to do." He's like, "You need a C Corp, fool. Yep. You are raising money.
That's right.
From investors who want to be on the cap table. They can't do that with an LLC." I was like, "I didn't know this. Sheesh." So just actually taking the time to do the research, which goes back to community. I started going in Miami. I started going to what was called Tech Tuesdays.
That's right.
And that's what actually taught me more than that. Like, what else do I need to do for my app? Like, what's next? And then I ended up applying for a pre-accelerator, got into Venture Miami. Right. Then I ended up getting into actual VC accelerator. But that community helped me every step of the way. And you don't always find the answers online. So what do you need to do next?
You need to talk to people.
You need to talk to people.
Yeah.
You need to actually talk to people.
That's
Hello? Right. Ring, ring. To call people.
Yeah.
I'm not calling my homegirls. They don't know nothing about this stuff. Except Desi. But other than that, a lot of my actual friends, I don't get their feedback. And one time someone asked, one of my best friends was like, "How come you don't get feedback?" I'm like, "Girl, how are you going to help me with this? You don't even know anything about apps or anything." It's not to be rude, but it's just I'm not going to talk to my friends about my business, because frankly, it's none of their business, to be honest. My business is honestly focusing on my team, my customers. I need to get feedback from my customers, which brings me to that point. You are not better than anyone else when it comes to getting feedback from your customers, right. No matter if it's good or bad, because I've actually learned more from the bad reviews than the good ones, because the good ones might be I might have solved a problem that day, but I need to know what's going on with those bad reviews, because that's probably the lifetime issues that I can really solve. What GEM was last year is not what GEM is today.
Right.
We've taken a pivot. It's not a huge pivot, but it's a pivot in the right direction. Had I not looked at those bad reviews, I would have been pivoting in the wrong direction for a long time. And I'll end with this: remove your ego from your business. Wow. Starting today, because when you lead with ego, and sometimes it's good ego, I'm a confident person. I go into every place with strong confidence, but I'm not too egotistical where I'm not going to listen to somebody else's feedback or advice, or, even if it's not something that I didn't ask for, because, people like to say, I don't like their 2 cents, but they also didn't have to give you this feedback either. They cared enough to actually tell you, hey, girl, here's what I suggest with your pitch deck, or, with this or with that. And I've enjoyed all of those things, so remove your ego, because this is not, this is not that, in the corporate world or anything else that you've done. This is not my side hustle project either. This is something that, like I said, I own. And if I'm going to own it, I do have to remove and sacrifice my ego.
Yeah. I love that. Remove your ego. And I just want to bring up a couple of points that I heard that I just want to emphasize. Get you a lawyer. Make sure you have an accountant. And also talk to people who know taxes. So those 3 things are the things that you do. If there's one thing that I could add to the conversation, you need a team, and you need that outside team to help you structure the foundation. So that's what S Corp and C Corp and all of that is about. Okay, we are getting ready to wrap up. So 1 word or 3-word sentence that you would like to leave the audience with.
You got this.
Boom, you got this.
Discernment, grace, and loyalty.
Discernment, grace, loyalty,
Resilience.
resilience. Thank you, everyone, for another episode of Women Investing Women. Thank you to the live audience here in Houston. Let's give it up for ourselves. Really appreciate it. Bree, LaGina, Sly, thank you all so much. Holla, holla, holla.
Thank you.
Yes, okay, and thank you so much again to our amazing sponsors. This episode brought to you by Gem Social, Becoming Clever, The Us Space, and Collab.